I would like to tell a story that was a little bit ignited because I was watching a video of one of my favorite YouTubers. She was doing a Q&A and she was talking about why she doesn't hate people. And it made me think, there are a few people, actually quite several, who in certain ways I do dislike them and I hate them in certain ways. And there's one person in particular whose name I don't even actually know what her name is, but she is a person who I am aware of. As far as I know, she's just a 35-year-old woman who made a huge mistake that changed my life for the worst forever. And I know that there are hundreds, including herself, who will never forgive her for what she did, even though it was a mistake, even though it was an accident. It's something that has changed our lives forever, and it's definitely been for the worst. So, on September 10th, 2014, at around 4:05-ish, I believe, it was slightly after 4, in the afternoon, my friend, who was heading to the mall with one of my other friends, got into a very large, really bad car accident. This woman who I was talking about before, she was going 55, and the road is a 55, and my friends were turning out of a really dangerous corner, and they did not see her, and my friends were taking a left, and she was going straight, and she hit my friend's car. She T-boned them at 55 miles an hour and killed one of my really good friends who was driving the car, and my friend Allie, who was in the passenger seat. She had some injuries, but not obviously not as bad as Emma's, who was the driver. This was a Wednesday afternoon. I had to bring my dad somewhere during my 5th period, and so during our 7th period, which was what we had after 5th period on Wednesdays, I had that with Emma, and I sat right next to her. It was math class, and I came in 5 minutes late because I was running late after dropping my dad off. And she was like, oh, my backpack really liked having its own seat. And she was absolutely hilarious. And I loved her and had a massive crush on her. And she was just this amazing person who never, ever deserved to have something as terrible as that happen. In 6th or 7th grade, she got hit by a car. And was in a coma for a while, and so they thought she was gonna die then. So on September 10th, I laughed it all off, and when we left class and I was going out to my car and she was going over to the gym to get stuff out of her locker, and then she was heading out to her car. She was like, "Okay, yeah, bye, Allie, see you later." And that was the last word she ever said to me. I went home, I got changed into my work clothes, and I went to work. I had to be at work by 4. She apparently went and picked up Allie, and then they went to Allie's house for a little while, and then they started heading out over to the mall, and that's when they got into the car crash. I was at work. I didn't look at Facebook, which is the way that I actually ended up finding out during my lunch break. I didn't look at it while I was at work. I ended up getting out of work early, but Facebook wasn't loading. and so I ended up not seeing it until 9:30, which is when I would have seen it if it was like one of the first things to come up. If I had gotten out when I normally get out, like right when we close. And I saw it and it was like, oh yeah, we're really gonna miss you. Remember those times when we did this and that? And at first I thought she had, she just announced that she was moving to like California or something, and she was gonna she was moving away, and everyone was like, oh, I'm gonna miss you so much. You're really cool. Well, not, that totally would have been like her. She loved surfing. She loved snowboarding, so if she moved up to like Northern California, she surfing and then do snowboarding, and it would have been amazing for her, and she would have loved it, and it seemed like that's what would have happened. And so I clicked on it to be like, just being like, oh, like pretty much like, where are you moving to? Where are you going? And I saw one that said RIP, and I was like really confused at first. And then I saw more and more, and I was like, pretty much like, oh, I can't believe you're gone, that type of stuff. And I was really confused, and I saw this post by this girl I knew, and she's actually one of my neighbors. And so I messaged her on Facebook being like, hey, like, what's going on with Emma? And she's like, did you not get the phone call or something? Yeah, Emma got into a massive car accident and died, and I'm just like sitting there right here on my bed, and I'm just kind of like, what? And she kind of explained, like, yeah, we all got a phone call. Like, yeah, I've been at work. And she's like, oh, were you friends with them? I was like, yeah, really good friends. I was like planning on asking if she wanted to hang out next weekend. And she was like, oh, well, isn't that ironic? And so I kind of just like sat here for a while, just like trying to figure out how I felt. I've really never had like a death that had affected me before, so I was just kind of like, how do I feel about this? How am I going to react? Am I a danger to my own self? Should I like go and get my mom and be like, hey, you need to get me out of somewhere. You need to get me out of here and get me to a place where you are positive that I'm not going to hurt myself. I'm terrified and anger and sadness. And so I just kind of like sat there for a while, and then it just like slowly began to cry. And they're like, I'm never gonna get to see her again. And that was everything. That was the worst part, was just, I'm not ever gonna see her again. And I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not really religious or anything, so I don't really believe in like an afterlife. So it was really just, she's gone, and she's never coming back. And that was a really hard concept for me to grasp. And so for probably a good hour, I just kind of sat here on my bed and kind of paced around the hallway, being like, I'm just kind of crying off and on, just being like, she's not coming back. On Friday, she's not going to be sitting in the seat right next to me. She's not coming back ever. And I'm not ever going to get to see her again. And that really, really hit me hard. And after about an hour of just kind of pacing around crying and being really, really confused, I kind of just, like, walked up to my mom and dad's room, wrapped in a blanket. I was just like, I need someone to hold me. And my mom was really confused because she hadn't listened to the voicemail yet. I was like, what's going on? I was like, my friend died, and she thought it was all just a joke, and someone was playing a practical prank on me or whatnot. And I was like, no. And then my mom just kind of helped me, and I just started sobbing. And my mom was like, okay, let's just calm me down a little bit. And she walked me down here, and she tried to calm me down a little bit more. And apparently, and then she's like, okay, just close your eyes, forget about Emma for a little bit, and just go to sleep because it's like 11 at night, and you really should be at bed. You should really be asleep. And so she's like, I'm like, I know, I can't sleep. So I laid there in bed, crying for a little while longer, maybe 10-15 minutes. And my mom comes back downstairs, and I was like, oh, I didn't mean to wake you up again. She's like, yeah, just scooch over. She's like, I thought you were joking. I thought someone was playing a practical joke on you. Your dad and I just listened to the voicemail. They're gonna have counselors tomorrow. And I'm not. I was like, I don't think I can face going to school tomorrow. Going to school the next day was not. She was like, no social media for you. Nothing is going to school the next day was not all that hard. Because I knew that if I needed something, I could go to a guidance counselor or go find my best friend who was also friends with Emma but wasn't as close because she didn't have any classes with her this year. And so I knew I could at least go to her. And that wasn't really the big problem, but the thing is, my best friend, she has the last 2 periods off. Now, on Friday, that one would have been when I would see Emma next. So I go through my hay and I begin to cry at the end of the 6th period, knowing that I have to go to 7th period. And I get down, I get to the hallway that 7th period is in, and I just start bawling, and my math teacher sees me, and he's only like the 2nd classroom down, and he's like, okay, wanna what? Just seeing you, I'm trying to imagine what the rest of the class is gonna look like. And he's like, seeing you, I think we're not gonna have class for a while. So we just went outside, and I kind of just sat there, sobbing my eyes home for about half an hour. Just on and off, just kind of crying my ass out. Now, the thing is, we already had 2 deaths in our grade. We're not really lucky when it comes to deaths in our grade. And I was talking about like all these other people who had died who I didn't know at all. They were all just names that I recognized. And I'm just kind of standing there, and I take my friend. I was like, hey, when you get off the bus, can you come over to the back garden over by the school? And she's like, oh, yeah, sure. So she walks out back, trying to figure out where the garden I was talking about was, and she sees me, and she walks over, she's like, okay, do you just need me to be here? And I was like, yeah, I didn't want to be alone, I wanted one of my friends to be here. She's like, okay. And I just kind of sit there for like 20 minutes, and then we walk over to my car, and we drive home, and she's like, okay, just let me know if you need to start crying, because if you do, then we can pull over. And so she's like, well, you know what, also, how about we go down the long way and go down the back roads, because there will be less traffic and it'll be easier for you to pull over. Now, also, I have really, really, really bad brakes on my car. I knew this, and I've always been able to stop on time, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Now we're driving down one of the back roads, and the truck, about 10 cars in front of us, like stops in the middle of the road, trying to figure out which way he's supposed to turn. And now I'm slowing down, getting to a perfect stop, except for like for the last 3 feet, my car's not continuously keep on slowing down. It just kind of keeps going at like 3 miles an hour. And I bonk into the back of a girl's car, and I'm just kind of sitting there. I was like, "You're kidding me, right?" It's been 2 days. We're supposed to go to our vigil tonight. So, one of my closest friends dies in a car accident. And then I get into my first ever car accident. And I break my car enough that I still, more than 2 months later, still can't drive it. The other girl had 0 damage on her car. So, that was all. I just need to tell the story of Emma. I ended up being able to go to Emma's vigil. I got a little ribbon thing that I put on my backpack with her lacrosse number, because she was in lacrosse. And then I went to her wake thing, her memorial, the funeral home. And I got another little ribbon there. And then, since then, I haven't really fully grieved. I just kind of wanted to tell that story. Okay, that's all.